Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hello and welcome to this video. Today in this video, first of all, I want to thank everybody who has subscribed, everyone who watches the videos, and I also like to give a shout out to Spark810 for continually commenting on my videos. Thank you. Your comments are much appreciated. I kind of look forward to somebody that does that continuously supports a channel. That any content creator would tell you that somebody who takes that extra step, that goes that extra distance, is someone you need to be thankful for. Also, rocking a new t-shirt, my Rabbits Podcast t-shirt. Also want to thank all the other Generation X tubers out there, X-tubers, Gen tubers, I don't know. Don't know what they're officially called or adopted. I just do my thing. I'm pretty good at doing my thing. What brings us to this video's subject, watered down iced tea, my ice melted, is the positive aspects to fandom. I have friends that are big science fiction nerds like myself, and simply because of their upbringing, their life experience, and things that contributed to their life, their perception or their views of some of the stuff within science fiction differ greatly from mine. However, it's one of those ones where there's enough open-mindedness and enough intelligence, for lack of a better term, that they go, okay, this is how we see the canon of, say, Stargate or Star Wars, Star Trek, anything. I've even got friends that have different opinions on novels. One of them being Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick, which is one of my all-time favorite novels. It differs from Ridley Scott's Blade Runner movie, which I do love. I love that movie. I love all the variants of that movie. I think there's like 6 or 7 by now. But the source material, the book, as much as I love the movies, the book is a superior thing. This was one of the rare cases in which I read the book after seeing the movie. That, like the Alien movie, Ridley Scott's Alien movie, I have no idea how I talked my mother into taking me to go see it, but I did, and it was, it was a good thing. But there are upsides. I mean, my last video, I talked about the downsides of fandom, but if you have people in a fandom that have different opinions on things, that's a good place to go, that are open-minded enough to accept different points of view, different things, different points of view, people that see things that you or me or somebody could have missed, and get this new information, and allows you to either expand, contract, change, modify how you think of a fandom. It's interesting because a really good friend of mine that passed several years ago was from France, and she and me had a lot of different views of different aspects of both science fiction literature, movies and stuff. But we could sit around on her table, at her table or her place or wherever, and we could talk. And there are things that I learned from her, things that she learned from me, and it allows you to broaden, crazy chickens, broaden your view of a fandom. I have another friend. He lives in Bryan College Station. Good guy, very knowledgeable, very intelligent. I kind of look up to him. I mean, he has some serious martial prowess as far as weapons and stuff go, but he also has a hell of a brain. And it was through some of the guidance, suggestions, teachings, I guess, from him that I began to better accept things like the live action Ghost in the Shell movie, the Star Wars prequels and sequels, just things where something got lost in translation, how to better deal with it, because it may not been something out of the ordinary, something that you or me personally was anticipating or wanting to see. It was somebody else's vision. Somebody had consumed the same data you did, and they took this data and they created a movie or something like that. A movie, television show, or novels, whether it be a Star Wars novel, a Star Trek novel, Babylon 5 novel, any of that. And I feel that we, as human beings, are able to grow our knowledge of something, grow something. And I think that's one of the reasons, and I'm in a big Star Wars fandom thing right now, with the Ahsoka show coming out. I've got a bee hovering around the top of my cup, or around my cup. The ability, this growing, I think that's one of the reasons why that in like the Star Wars fandom, the character of Ahsoka Tano was introduced and grown throughout the animated Clone Wars movie and the animated Clone Wars series. Because people were able, the stories were well told. They were meant for older, I would think, older teenagers, while at the same time having enough to bring in your various generations that grew up on different trilogies. And that, once my friend explained that to me and showed me that simply because something isn't exactly how you pictured it doesn't mean that that yours was right and that was wrong, or that was wrong and this is right. It's all subjective, or as Ben Kenobi would say, from a certain point of view. This, I think, to be a very good way of looking at fandoms, because I tend to go through, get hyper-focused on something. Last summer, I was super hyper-focused on Stephen King. Stephen King's novels, books, short stories, movies based on his books, all that. And now I'm kind of doing the same thing with Star Wars. So there's going to be a lot of Star Wars that I'm going to use as a reference. I may, well, depending on. Okay. Now, to completely contradict myself, the Idris Elba version of The Dark Tower, the movie that was made, if you detach that movie from the wonderful, mind-blowing series, it's not a bad movie. It is a stereotypical late 80s, early 90s vibe action movie. It's not a bad movie at all. But if you try to marry it to the novels, it sucks. And as fans, we need to be able to accept these things. Yes, you may not like something. You may have very just caused reasons for not liking something, and that's perfectly cool. When it becomes uncool is when you try to force your interpretation on somebody else or a group of somebody else's. It's just one of those things that's wrong to do. I think fans, this is my opinion, straight up my opinion, that what hurts fandoms, what hurts a franchise is an assertion that things have to be a certain way. Things have to go a certain way. They don't. There are things I've found going back and rewatching sequels and prequels and things, different things, that I've actually learned that, oh, okay, this isn't so far out. And if they do another Dark Tower series, whether it be for TV, series of movies, I'm there. I'm not going to let that first movie sour the enjoyment I have of the novels. Though one of my favorite novels in the Dark Tower series is The Wolves of Kala, which is pretty much Stephen King's love letter to Akira Kurosawa, and it's very man without a name, easy rider, not easy rider, hang 'em high, good, the bad, the ugly, meets The Seven Samurai, Lone Wolf and Cub, and all those different. It's a beautiful blending. Though, this is, like I said, once again, we're going to jump into my opinion. If your opinion's different, let me know in the comments below. It's great because I've had people, and this is a series of books I read about every 12 to 18 months. Start with The Gunslinger, Drawing of Three, Wastelands, Wind Through the Keyhole, Wizards in Glass. I know I'm leaving one out. I know I am. Let's see. Gunslinger, Drawing of Three, Wastelands. Let's see. Wind Through the Keyhole, Wizard in Glass, Wolves of Kala, Dark Tower. I had to count them off because my brain just gets squishy sometimes. But I've had people point things out, and I've read these things a zillion times, that where I've missed stuff or glossed over stuff, going, yeah, this here is kind of important when relating specifically to this character or this moment. And going back and rereading that and keeping it in mind, I'm better able to absorb it. And like I said, in my opinion, that is how you grow fandoms. By being open to different interpretations, being able to go, okay, I see where you're coming from, and I recognize the importance of this and how it affected your interpretation of the story. I don't see it that way, but your viewpoint is just as valid as mine. And that's just how it goes. I also think that Stephen King's novel Insomnia is to the Dark Tower series as The Hobbit is to the Lord of the Rings series. My opinion. If you have a different one, drop it down in the comments. I'd like to know. I like to learn and see how other fandoms or how other people and other fandom, people in other parts of the world. I can say that now because we are a global community now. Interpret things. Somebody with my background, my education, my self-education, and things like that, are going to be fairly similar. Whereas somebody who grew up in, say, South Korea, Finland, England, Germany, Spain, can absorb the same information and have a totally different valid view. I mean, even within the confines of the United States. An example I want to use is in Texas. We have about 4 or 5 fairly distinct regions. And into these regions, we have a lot of interpretations of Mexican cuisine. Say a burrito, taco, what have you, gordita, any of that made in East Texas is going to be different than someone in Central Texas or West Texas or North Texas. It's amazing, and that's how I feel fandom should be. You should be able to embrace different things, even though this gordita is in principle the same gordita that you eat all the time in your specific location. It's going to be different, say, in California or Japan or New York or London, just because of the assimilation of that food into that culture. And that's how I feel. I mean, it may be a not so good visualization, not visualization, I can't say that word right now, metaphor for fandoms, because somebody growing up on a military reservation during the Cold War, which is pretty much my background, is going to have a different interpretation of something than somebody that grew up in an affluent, say, Midwestern city. Different experiences, different things. And finding out and learning and incorporating is important. It's a very important thing. And not just in fandoms, in everything. Food, literature, philosophy, theology, history, all of that. It's all interconnected, and especially now in a global community. Growing up, we didn't have the internet. In fact, I was in high school, early high school, freshman year, maybe sophomore year, when bulletin board systems, or BBSs, were starting to be common. So yeah, and now that we're this global community, learning, not automatically rejecting something because it's from someplace you've never been. It's, it's just one of those things. And it comes down to, or it reminds me, I should say, of a line from Jethro Tull's song called Another Christmas Song that says, everybody's from somewhere, even if you've never been there. And that is something that I try to remember when I encounter new people, especially being in a college town. A lot of college, here's a bee, flew off. She's really liking me today. I think it's the bright colors on the t-shirt. So that's how that goes. It's a melting pot. That's what we need to return to. Not only socially, but intellectually. In just about every aspect of life. Brain's beginning to get mushy again. That acceptance, yes, you may not like something because you don't like it or I don't like it. Doesn't mean it's inherently wrong or bad. It just means we don't care for it. We don't like it. I don't know if you can see it, but this bee is walking across the top of my glasses. But I'm not food. Yeah. See, I don't know if you can see him on the camera, but he's in love with my ow, bit me. I'm not a flower. However, getting away from the bee and getting back on topic, it's a thing. It's just a thing. And by closing down and becoming elitist about it is never, ever the right way to go. And that is something I really think that is important. And also, before I go, Spark 810, love the Stranger in a Strange Land reference in the last comment. So, until next time, peace.